ఇప్పుడొచ్చే ప్రాబ్లమ్‌లో మనం కార్టీసియన్ ఫార్మ్ నుంచి పోలార్ ఫార్మ్‌కి కన్వర్ట్ చేయాలి. సో, కార్టీసియన్ ఫార్మ్ ఈజ్ ఎనీ ఆఫ్ ద ఫార్మ్ విచ్ ఈస్ గివెన్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్ అండ్ వై. ఆ ఫార్మాట్‌ని మనం కార్టీసియన్ ఫార్మ్ అని అంటాం. అండ్ ఈ కార్టీసియన్ ఫార్మ్‌ని ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఆర్ అండ్ థీటాలోకి కన్వర్ట్ చేస్తే సో దిస్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as పోలార్ ఫార్మ్. And now listen very carefully. So if I assume this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. As this is the length of my x, I will consider this as x. As this is the length of my y, I will consider this as y. And this is my r. So now ఇక్కడ cos theta రాయాలంటే adjacent by hypotenuse which is x by r. x by r is equals to cos theta. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ నుంచి xని can I write as r into cos theta? అదే ఇక్కడ రాసుకున్నాం. అండ్ sin theta is equals to y by r. ఇక్కడ నుంచి y is equals to r sin theta అని రాసుకున్నాం. అండ్ ఇన్ ప్లేస్ ఆఫ్ dx అండ్ dy r dr d theta has to be substituted. ఇప్పుడు మనకి ఏదైనా ఒక జనరల్గా ఒక కార్టేషియన్ ఫార్మ్లో వీ విల్ బి కన్సిడరింగ్ దిస్ పాయింట్ వేర్ బోత్ ద x యాక్సిస్ అండ్ y యాక్సిస్ ఇంటర్సెక్ట్ విచ్ ఇస్ 0,0. అదే ఈ పోలార్ ఫార్మ్లో ఏమవుతుందంటే సో ద ఆరిజిన్ ఫ్రమ్ వేర్ ఇట్ స్టార్ట్స్ దట్ పాయింట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as pole. And the line here we have axis. So one is abscissa, another is ordinate. ఇక్కడ ఈ లైన్ ఏదైతే ఎబో నుంచి సమ్ యాంగిల్ గొన ఫార్మ్ సో దిస్ లైన్ is called as initial line, and the angle which is formed is called as vectorial angle, and this is our radius. And now let's have a look on the problem. Now we have to evaluate the double integral 0 to infinity and 0 to infinity. Now we have to evaluate the double integral 0 to infinity and 0 to infinity. అంటే these are the limits of x and these are the limits of y. So x అనేది 0 to infinity వెళ్తుంది and y is also moving to 0 to infinity. So ఇక్కడ x limits are again from 0 to infinity and also y limits are also from 0 to infinite. And now we have to find this value e to the power of minus of x square plus y square dx dy by changing to polar coordinates. Here it is clearly mentioned that ee problem lo manam polar coordinates ki change cheyali, and here we have to deduce that integral 0 to infinite e to the power of minus x square dx, and here we have to deduce the relation which is e to the power of minus x square dx is equals to root pi by 2 ani manam prove cheyali. So now listen very carefully. So here we will substitute x is equals to r cos theta, and we will substitute y is equals to r sin theta, and we will substitute dx dy place lo we will be substituting r dr d theta. So we will be substituting r dr d theta. Now assume this is my x axis and this is my y axis. So it is given clearly, and this is the line x is equals to 0. This is the line y is equals to 0. So here it is clearly mentioned that this x and y always go from 0 to infinity. So x varies from 0 to infinity and y also varies from 0 to infinite. Now let's just say 0 to infinite. So let's just consider some point, and again it is also moving from 0 to infinite. So there can be a chance where both these lines are gonna meet. So this is our area whose area has to be found. Now listen very carefully. Equation lo first of all we will substitute x is equals to r cos theta and y is equals to r sin theta. So from this can we write here x square plus y square is given. X square plus y square which is equals to r cos theta whole square plus r sin theta whole square, which is equals to r square cos square theta plus r square sin square theta. By taking r square common, we will get cos square theta plus sin square theta, which is one of the trigonometric identities. R square into 1 would be r square. Now in place of integral 0 to, now here we are only finding the integral from 0 to pi by 2, as this is the only quadrant. So here theta varies from 0 to pi by 2. So here I am writing the limits of theta, which is theta varies from 0 to pi by 2, which is 0 to pi by 2. Similarly, r will it will simply vary from 0 to infinite, because r is varying from 0 to infinite. R is this thing, so it moves from 0 to infinite. And now in the place of x square plus y square we will be substituting minus of r square. As the symbol here it is mentioned as minus, we will be taking it as minus into r dr d theta. Now listen very carefully. ఇక్కడ జనరల్గా e to the power of x అంటే మనం దాన్ని ఇంటిగ్రేట్ చేసి e to the power of x అని రాస్తాం. కానీ కాకపోతే ఇక్కడ e to the power of x బదులు we have some other thing. We have e to the power of minus r square. So in such case we will simply follow substitution method. Now we will assume r square is equals to some t. And if I differentiate on both sides, so we have d by dx of x to the power of n, which is equals to n into x to the power of n minus 1, which is equals to 2r into dr is equals to d theta, and r dr is equals to dt by 2. And ఇక్కడ dr ఎట్లా వచ్చిందంటే which is 2r into, if I'm integrating this t with respect, if I'm differentiating this t with respect to r, it would be dt by dr. So my dt will be 2r dr. So now what will I do is integral 0 to pi by 2 and integral 0 to infinity. These are the limits of r, these are the limits of theta. E to the power of minus t. As I have assumed r square is t, e to the power of minus t by dt by 2. So in place of r dr I have dt by 2 and then d theta. Now what do we do? Now integral 0 to pi by 2 e to the power of minus t. So which is simply e to the power of x is e to the power of x by its inner derivative. Inner derivative is minus 1 into 1 by 2 is taken like that, and theta is put. So whose limits are from 0 to infinite. Integral 0 to pi by 2 e to the power of minus infinity minus e to the power of 0 minus 0. Now into d theta, e to the power of minus infinity, which is 1 by e to the power of infinity. E to the power of infinity is infinity. 1 by infinity goes to 0, and e to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0, a to the power of 0, which is equals to 1, except a should not be equal to 0. So then that would be indeterminate form. Now listen, which is integral 0 to pi by 2. So this is 2 and this is 1. So 0 minus 1 into d theta. Now we will have a look on this. Listen carefully. So now here we have minus 1 by 2. So this is minus 1. 1 by minus 1 is minus 1 by 2 is actually taken out. So minus 1 by 2 has to be taken out. Here we will have minus 1, and whose limits are from 0 to pi by 2. So which would be minus 1 by 2 into, so which will be minus pi by 2, and 0 would be 0. So minus 1 by 2 into pi by 2 would be pi by 4. So what is this value? This is the value of both after multiplying. So after multiplying e to the power of minus x square into e to the power of minus y square, we have got the value of this as e to the power of integral 0 to infinite e to the power of minus of x square plus y square dx or dy is, this value is pi by 4. So we can actually split it as this pi by 4 as root pi by 2 into pi by 2, because root pi into root pi will give me the value of pi, and 2 into 2 will give me the value of 4. So now what is asked in the question? The question is asked integral 0 to infinite e to the power of minus x square dx is asked in the question. So if we'll split this pi by 4 equally among x and y, so integral 0 to infinite e to the power of minus x square dx would be simply under root of pi by 2. Hope you all have understood. ikkada em ledu, e to the power of minus x square into e to the power of minus y square అని రాసుకోవచ్చు దీన్ని. సో టోటల్గా దీని వాల్యూ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తే మనకు ఆన్సర్ వచ్చింది pi by 4. సో ఇక్కడ ఎంత ఆన్సర్ వస్తుందో ఇక్కడ కూడా అంతే ఆన్సర్ వస్తుంది కదా. హియర్ వీఆర్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఇంటిగ్రేటింగ్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు ఎక్స్, హియర్ వీఆర్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఇంటిగ్రేటింగ్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు వై. సో ఇక్కడ ఎంత ఆన్సర్ వస్తుందో ఇక్కడ కూడా అంతే ఆన్సర్ వస్తుంది, బికాస్ బోత్ ఆఫ్ దెమ్ ఆర్ ద సేమ్ ఫంక్షన్స్, జస్ట్ ద వేరియబుల్స్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్. So if equally I divide among these two, this would be root pi by 2 and this would be root pi by 2. As in the question, integral of 0 to infinity e to the power of minus x square dx is asked, I have written it as root pi by 2. If integral of e to the power of minus y square dy is asked, and again that value will also be under root of pi by 2. Hope you all have understood. Thank you so much.